bum 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 ba bum. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, everybody. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Hopefully, everybody's doing well, feeling well. What's going on? I apparently came back to a surprise. Hang on a second here. I can't see what the first message is. Oh, Wordy, thank you so much for the bit. I appreciate that. Wordy, Dragoon in the hunt with a Twitch Prime sub. Subscribe for 56 months, currently on a 40-month streak. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Lightning Rex Logan, Marco's also in the hunt with a Twitch Prime sub. Subscribe for 46 months. Thank you so much, Sky Pirate, KH, and Travion. What's going on? If you out there have a Twitch Prime sub that you haven't used yet, you're more than welcome to use it right now. We got a potential hype train going on here, or if you've got some bits, or if you just got a few bucks you feel like dropping for a sub. But I hope everybody's doing all right. Hey, I'm early for once. But I hope everybody's doing okay. Sorry for the last couple of days. Monday I kind of had a feeling I was going to take off. And then yesterday I woke up and I was just like, I had some things to do. And it was 4th of July. And I was just like, I don't feel like doing anything. So I'm sorry for that. There was also a chance I was going to go see some family, but I ended up not doing that. But, you know, I ended up just sort of hanging out and relaxing a little bit. I watched a little bit more. I'm going through Overlord again. So I'm watching a little bit more of that. I believe it or not, I haven't played much. If I can be honest with you, I played some Tetris. I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom in maybe a week. Oh, Wordy, thank you so much. Also in the hunt with a Twitch Prime sub. Subscribe for 6 months. I've been trying to use this, but I keep getting subscribed against my will. But thank you so much, Wordy. Hey, and that actually starts the hype train. So we're on a level 1 hype train for the next 5 minutes or so. So if you've got some bits or you've got gift sub, well, not gift sub, but the Twitch Prime, Amazon Prime sub, you're more than welcome to use it now. Yeah, Overlord's always a good time. Dragoon, I had to remember very quickly that a little spoiler for Overlord. I have to remember that you're basically rooting for the bad guy. So all of the characters that they introduced that are like these heroic humans, and the power of the lizard men, and like all of these people that stand against the tomb of Nazarick, they're pretty much all gonna die, right? they're so cool, but they're all on the losing end. So you kind of like you watch these characters and you think they're really cool, and then you have to remember really quickly, oh, they're not in the tomb of Nazarick, so they're gonna die. Most of the heroes kind of suck. Only a handful you actually feel. I don't know. I felt bad for the big muscular lady that was with like Evil Eye and the ninja. It was like the two little ninja girls. I thought they were kind of cool, and what happened to them? Brain Unglaus. I liked what happened to him, so I was actually pretty much okay with him. And then you have the princess and that knight that she likes so much. Well, I mean, they make it, right? They survive in the end, and feel about that however you will, if you happen to remember the end with with those two characters. I just, it's just funny. It's funny to watch it and have these characters pop up and have to remind yourself, don't get attached. If they're not part of the Tomb of Nazarick, and they're not with the Einzel Gone gang, they're dead. But it is cool to see happen. It is such a great show to watch and rewatch. If you haven't seen it, anybody hasn't seen it, it's on Crunchyroll. Go and watch that show now. Wordy, thank you so much for the 20 bits. I appreciate that. Keeping the pushing the hype train forward just a little bit more there. The warrior lady and the ninjas live, if I recall. They had a party. Oh, that's right. They did have a party member with Resurrect. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. They did end up getting resurrected. Yeah, but, everybody else, pretty much just buys it. But it's so great. I mean, it's still such a good show anyway. Oh, man. I don't really have... Holy crap. The thing on my computer says that it's 93 outside. I don't really have any stories. I don't think that there was anything. Like we've got some stuff. Oh, I have a Discord channel for that now. There's that story about the everyone else is super dead. There's a story about like the dev kits out there for whatever the next Switch system is, which obviously is not really super substantiated. There's no. I don't think that that's something that there's ever proof of, because I think technically no one's allowed to say that they've got a dev kit until after a system is announced. So if these stories are out there, they might actually be getting out there. The one thing I did hear, though, that I found kind of fascinating was that apparently supposedly whoever is saying that they have a dev kit or they've seen a dev kit, they're being very secretive about the controllers. This is all rumor. This is all, I have no idea how much of this is even potentially true, but none of it actually is substantiated. But supposedly the controllers could be a giveaway for the system, or it's a well-kept secret. And I'm wondering if that means maybe they are moving into F-Zero. I just read F-Zero, Marcos. I wonder if that does mean that they're moving into something a bit more VR-centric. If you see a controller, if you see the Nintendo controller and it's got the big rings on it, that's clearly a VR controller. So if they are going to do something like I was talking about before, where there's a plastic headset that you buy and you slot the system into it, and you basically get low tier, just above low tier VR, right? Nothing significant, nothing that's going to change how you feel about VR. Just a fun little thing that you can add on that doesn't really change the Switch. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you do that. Let's say you create a VR accessory and you format the system to work that way. Right, you got the lenses inside the unit. You put your Switch in, and then it locks in place. Right, you've got a latch or something that locks it in place, and then you can move around, and your Switch is inside your headset piece. And it's, like I said, it's cheap VR. It's not gonna be you're not gonna be playing Half-Life Alyx at full resolution or anything. But maybe there's little mini games, there's little things that you can do. There's stuff like Don't Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, where you can have a fun party environment with a VR version of that, and it doesn't need to be super high fidelity or anything. Maybe even something like Super Hot, right? Super Hot is a sort of, it's sort of designed to be a low poly type looking game. So, maybe you could get something like that running on the Switch. And if it's a built-in thing, if the headset it basically just operates as a charger, and the whole thing is $50 or $100, that could be a real Face Raiders HD VR. That could be a real easy way for people to, I've said before that one of the biggest obstacles for VR is the price. That's a big hurdle for people to get over for something that they may not like. So why not do it with your Nintendo Switch, right? You've already got the Switch. It's $50 to $100 for the headset piece, and you can play little mini games on it and stuff. And then every once in a while, there's a VR mode for a full-size game, and you say, oh, that's actually kind of interesting, and that's sort of dipping your toe into VR without having to buy a separate device. I take the dev kit stuff as maybe, but I'm not going to put much into it. There's that F-Zero story, but what else is there to say? I wouldn't mind touching on that F-Zero story, too. They've only done VR with the Labo kits and Virtual Boy, I guess. Apparently, in their investor thing, they talked about putting resources into AR tech and a little VR, but didn't say much. So, I mean, maybe the device is $150 and it has a camera on it, too. And then you'll be able to do AR with your Switch. I think that's an interesting idea. I think it's like I said, it's a fascinating way for people to dip their toes into VR and AR, especially, which I would believe that AR is significantly more achievable with the Switch, provided you've got a headset device that has the cameras on it. You do something like that, and you don't have to buy anything new. Even with something like the PS4, you still had to go out and find a PSVR, which at one point got very difficult to do, and it was still $300. You know, this is the Switch you already have. Maybe the headset. Maybe they sell a cheaper headset for $50, and then they sell a premium one for $1 or $150, and it's got some extra features in the camera and whatnot. And you know, and you're just gonna buy it for your actual Switch, which you probably are already gonna have anyway. Given the system sold like 130 million units, statistically speaking, if you're watching this, there's a good chance you own a Switch. Yeah, Face Raiders HD. Oh my God, now, Marcos. Actually, no, I don't think I want those Face Raiders in my face. Maybe that would encourage people, devs, to make good VR experiences that don't only rely on looking good and instead are about the overall experience. Yeah, it's a very Nintendo way of doing things, so I can believe it. And again, people would look at it and they'll say, "Who's gonna use this? I'm not gonna use this as a VR device." Fine, then you don't use it as a VR device. It doesn't change what you have. You know, that was one of the biggest curses with the Wii U, was the gamepad wasn't an accessory, it was a mandatory controller. If you would have made games that did things specifically for the Game Pass, and the vast majority of games don't use it, you know, maybe the gamepad, you know, maybe the gamepad could be, you could load up your eShop games, right, your NES and SNES and stuff, the stuff that came out of the virtual console store. You can load your virtual console store games into it, but the vast majority of the games use a regular controller. I think people would have been much more accepting of it. The problem was you had to use the gamepad, and they had to integrate it into everything, and then if the gamepad died, you couldn't do anything. And it had terrible battery life. You don't want to... Was this blow up your friends and family's faces with yellow balls? No, I don't want my balls anywhere near my friends and family's faces. Well, I mean, technically that is accurate. Hey, Somber. Hi, everybody, if I have not said hello to you. Crunchyroll just dropped all 900 episodes of the English dub of... Somebody mentioned that. I saw somebody say something about 900. They dropped 900 episodes of a show? That's like the whole upload for the month. You don't want to play Mario Kart 8 and press the touchscreen to sound the horn? Somber. No. I did not want to do that. Oh man, yeah, but that would be a very interesting sort of way to do that. The best Wii U gamepad feature: watching Netflix. I used the gamepad to watch Netflix while Beth did something else, or I did that, or vice versa, right? She was watching it. I did that more, I think, than outside of a couple of games. I definitely used it as a Netflix player more than I used it as anything else. And even on the games where I did play it, and because you're required to, because that was my controller, I still didn't use a lot of the features. The only thing I really used, was Splatoon 1, when you fired, was it the rocket, the Tenna missile? You had to like point on the gamepad where you wanted it to go. And there were a couple things that did. Other than that, I didn't really utilize it the way I should have. Oh, and Mass Effect 3, I did like having a lot of my abilities right there and the map right there, even though it meant that I have to keep looking away from the screen. Yeah, the only other thing that came up, I think, was and I won't stay on this too long, the F-Zero discussion. Apparently, hold on, let me see if I can find. Whoa! Anonymous Gifter gave Nightbot a tier 1 sub. Thank you so much, Anonymous Gifter. I very much appreciate that. I think Nightbot does technically need a sub in order to operate some of its functions, so thank you. I think it does anyway. Actually, I don't really know. But thank you. I appreciate that. Twitch is eating my... Yeah, I'm not getting a bunch of your... Am I getting them on this thing? Yeah, the last thing I have you saying, Dragoon, is that it's a very Nintendo way of doing it, so I could believe it. Since Funimation and Crunchyroll are owned by the same company, all that's left is to merge the two catalogs onto Crunchyroll while Funimation continues to make the episodes. I thought that was supposed to happen, Logan. Wasn't all of the Funimation catalog supposed to be accessible on Crunchyroll? And then they were going to shut down the Funimation app and stuff? Oh, hi, CT. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, CT. Or should I say, anonymous? Well, it's technically not since I know it's you, but thank you. I appreciate that. Hang on. Oh, that other thing. I'm looking through our actual channel. I made a channel, by the way, on Discord for anybody that's interested. I made a channel where it's called Stream Topics, and basically you can post links to articles and stuff. Anything that you might think we might want to discuss. Doesn't just have to be about gaming. It's, sometimes we discuss other things, but I would say to take a look before you post something. Take a look and see if anybody else posted it, rather than a bunch of people posting the same story. I'd rather see the one story and then like a bunch of likes on it. So that's what you can also do. You can go there and you can like. If you think that there's a topic that I'd really be interested in and somebody already posted it, just click like on it. What is on my shirt? Oh, this is my Charmander Shepherd shirt. Yeah, just my Charmander Shepherd shirt. It was on top of my laundry, and my shirt that I was wearing today was kind of sweaty, so I changed. They've been slowly doing that. How was my barbecue fireworks day? It was fine. It was fine. I had some barbecue pulled chicken, I guess technically, that I made in a crock pot, and just on a roll. Had like a pulled chicken sandwich. No fireworks. I didn't really do any fireworks. I like fireworks, but I'm not really big on, I have to go watch the fireworks and stuff. I'm just like, it's fine. I mostly just worry about when they set fireworks off close to home, and then Sage is, he's laying there quietly, and then all of a sudden he gets startled, and I just feel bad for him. Holy smokes, a new Discord channel. Yeah, I know. So the F-Zero thing brought up a good question. How well the F-Zero GXL? People say the big chart data isn't correct, but it's only actual data we have in the game, other than the devs saying it might have sold 1.5 million. It's in a book. Reading Rainbow. Apparently, Nintendo specifically made a report of all million-seller GameCube games. F-Zero GX was never reported on that, even though every other million-seller was there. Again, I'm not saying if it's so good or bad, but it made me realize we don't actually know. Yeah, pulled chicken is delicious. So the F-Zero thing. So I was trying to find if there's an actual article here that I can click on. Basically, the discussion came up that, and I forget, you can tell me who exactly it was, but the discussion came up about whether or not F-Zero, I guess the way to say this is whether or not F-Zero was seen as a viable IP, as an IP that should be focused on based on its previous sales. I'm torn on this. I saw this, and I saw the sales numbers, I saw the charts, and I'm actually pretty torn on this because F-Zero's always kind of been there, but I don't know that F-Zero was ever positioned as the massive racing franchise. We know about it. We know of it. A lot of people remember. We have fond memories. Oh my God, I played that on a Super Nintendo. But F-Zero was never put up in the forefront. Oh, it was an interview with former art director Takaya Imamura. It was never really positioned that way. The market was also kind of different. I know there were racing games that survived back then. Obviously you have stuff like Gran Turismo is probably a little bit different, but you do have a lot of racing games. It was pretty on front on N64, being more of a tech demo. There are lots of racing franchises out there. When people think of racing franchises, a lot of the time you think of Gran Turismo, Forza. There are some higher profile Mario Kart, right? You do think of Mario Kart. There are some higher profile ones out there. there are also a lot of racing games that got left, no pun intended, but left in the dust back in the day. And, you had, and then some of them were popular, right? The Cruising series. I like the Rush series. I was a big fan of San Francisco Rush, F-Zero, and various other ones. The problem was there wasn't really an ecosystem for these games to grow outside of local play. Oh, hey, unironic Plant Main. This probably remembers Falcon only because of Smash. Yeah, and a lot of these games got left behind. Even if they had a moderate popularity, they got left behind because of the ecosystem. Because outside of a social setting, the racing games are a lot like fighting games. They don't really have a lot to offer continuously in a non-competitive setting. When you take a fighting game outside of the arcade and you put it in your house and you don't have anybody else to play with, the whole dynamic of the game is different and it falls apart relatively quickly. That's not to say that it's bad. It's to say that games like that are designed with competition in mind. So when you remove them from a competitive environment, they suffer. So I have trouble. Test Drive 5 was one that I played. Need for Speed, right? Need for Speed sort of maintained its popularity. It did a lot of single player stuff, and that kind of helped it. Yeah, and Dragon. That's why I see what you're saying about Mario Kart, and that's why I say some of them survive, right? You have NASCAR, which survives simply for being NASCAR, which I don't even know if that's still around anymore. I know in the UK, like the F1 games are apparently really big. You've got Mario Kart, which was very unique from anything else. You've got Gran Turismo, which was a simulation game, which was very unique to everything else. And so I guess what's left in the dust are games that feel like standard racing games. And that's sort of what F-Zero always felt like to a lot of people. I know that it wasn't. I know that there was more to the game, that there was more customization, there was some story. I know that stuff was there, but to the outside observer, that's what you see is you remember the racing game from Super Nintendo. So my question is, I don't doubt the sales numbers. The sales numbers are the sales numbers. That's what they are. My question is, F-Zero has not really existed in an ecosystem that contains a lot of online racing. When you look at a fighting game, when you look at a racing game, removing them from the competitive scene, physically from the competitive environment, can be damaging for them. But we are in a time when you don't need that physical ecosystem anymore. The game doesn't have to be in the arcades. You put it online, and it's online, and it's there. And it's not even like the niche online back when the DS was out, and maybe you had an internet connection and or a wireless internet connection, or maybe you went. So I used to play at McDonald's. I would go to McDonald's and I would sit there and play Metroid Prime Hunters. That ecosystem is in everybody's hands now. That capability, I should say, is in everybody's hands now. So I'd be curious to see what an F-Zero game like F-Zero GX, a remastered F-Zero GX with online capability. I'd be curious to see what something like that does. Shadow, rating with a party of 2. Welcome from Shadow Stream. I hope you're doing okay. Hope you're feeling okay. Hold on, let me go back up here. And actually, yeah, Mario Kart thrive without online. To be fair, Mario Kart is a beast in its own right. I mean, it's still like the best-selling game on the Switch. Somehow. F-Zero and Wipeout were like the only fast-paced futuristic racers. I think it wasn't very casual player-friendly. GX was extremely fast. I imagine a lot of people are yelling for a new F-Zero just because it's a hype train and not because they actually want a new one. Racing games are such a niche that even shit like NASCAR and F1 don't really create new games anymore. Yeah, like NASCAR, I don't remember the last time I saw a NASCAR game, and I think F1 is like UK. I think in the UK, because I know F1 racing like that in the UK is much bigger. He even goes as far to admit, yeah, Mario Kart makes way too much money for Nintendo to dedicate resources to an experimental series like F-Zero versus the guaranteed seller Mario Kart. And that word right there, experimental, is probably very biting for a lot of people. But putting out a new F-Zero right now would be experimental to them. It would be experimental just in general, because it would not only be a new entry in the franchise that a lot of people will remember, but not a lot of people have played. It would also be the first time this racing franchise existed in a video game ecosystem that can support it and will make people want to play because they can play online. That's a big deal. You need to have that. It's why I never really got into racing games, and it's why I eventually got out of fighting games. I didn't have the people to play the games with, and on their own, those games don't last very long. They're not interesting for very long. So having it online, it makes it easy for me to say, oh, I can buy this game and I can play online with people. And that would be the same thing with F-Zero. But should F-Zero be only racing or be Captain Falcon? I mean, it definitely to be honest, if you ask me what I wanted out of an F-Zero game, a very robust story mode would be the first thing I would want. I would want something interesting with all of the characters. I would want more things to do, not just racing. I wouldn't want it to be that, oh, there's a bit of story, and then the way we wrap up this part of the story is there's a widespread race. Like, why can't there be obstacle courses? Why can't there be other things that you can do? Why can't there be, obviously you're going to have training and tutorial for a racing game as fast as F-Zero. But, I think that there's a lot of things you can do. And, obviously you want to focus a good amount of attention on the online competitive aspect of the game. But, try and dodge that problem and try and say, all right, well, without going online, there's a good 20-hour story here. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. You've got stories with each of the individual characters. You've got an overarching story that you might want. Maybe it's like Octopath, where you have to play with a lot of the characters in order to unlock the last sequences of the single player mode. There's stuff you can do with it. There's definitely stuff you can do with it. If it's only racing, I would not buy it for $60, maybe $40. The last F-Zero was 2004. Yeah, I think outside GX, only one of the GBA F-Zero games had an actual story beside the manual. A new F-Zero could make a great online game. I think F-Zero GX or whatever on the Switch would be great, but I also wouldn't oppose an F-Zero NSO exclusive game. F-Zero on the NSO. On the 64, or a remaster. I think a remaster of GX is probably the best thing to do. Implementing online for a super fast game like GX, I have doubts if NSO can handle it. I mean, I have doubts, GG, just about Nintendo and online in general, but I do think that they've made some games that work relatively well, right? Smash Brothers works, obviously it's not the greatest experience, but Smash Brothers works extremely well. We go through whole community days and maybe have one problem. So I don't think it's too much of an issue. I think it would definitely be one of those games where Nintendo says, please try and use a wired connection if you can. They did that with Smash Brothers. Remember that? They basically said, look, you can play it on Wi-Fi, but try not to. I do think online is a bigger helper now than ever. But also, we have to forget that online isn't free. It's a cost on top of the game. Yeah, and Dragon, we've gone back and forth with this. It's a cost, but you're not paying $20 a month or even a year for F-Zero alone, right? There's a good chance you've got NSO. There's a good chance you are, whether it's the regular version or the plus version of the expansion pass. There's a good chance you already have it, and I know that we try not to. I try not to say this too much because it does sound a little bit elitist, but if you're gonna be playing any of these systems online, any of them will need online connection, and $20 is very clearly the cheapest online out of all the consoles. So if you're gonna be kicking out money for a Switch and money for F-Zero, you've probably got another $20 to do the online for that. So I don't really like you saying that too much because that does sound sort of elitist, like, oh, just have more money. But if you've got enough money to buy a Nintendo Switch and F-Zero, you've probably got $20 more somewhere to get the online service. Implementing, oh yeah, I do wonder if given the Switch's Twilight Year status, if they're hesitant to create more niche games already. Would also have to try and bring in new players, which is always a treat with older fans. Just ask Final Fantasy 16. Well, I mean, at this point, F-Zero would at least still be a racing game. Now, if in a weird twist they turned F-Zero into some sort of turn-based strategy racing game, then I imagine that the fans are going to be annoyed. If we were just a year or two into the Switch's life, I think experimentation would be more open because the user base would be more excited for new games. It's hard to say unironic because you say that, but at the same time, wouldn't it be better to be more experimental towards the end of the system when you've got 130 million units out there? You know, even if you put on an F-Zero game and it does poorly for an F-Zero game, what's poor for an F-Zero game? 1 million seller? 2 million? Just out of the initial rush of people saying, whoa, F-Zero, and then going to buy. And let's assume it comes out at a $40 price point, right? We're talking about a remaster of GX. Looks fantastic, better controls, online mode for racing, nice story mode. Like, let's say that comes out for $40. You'd probably get a few million people buying it just based on the size of the user base, and and the fact that it's F-Zero. And then if you make the game actually good, I mean, that's just a win. At that point, a good F-Zero game is just a bonus. I mean, it cost the company. It costs the company to put it and run it in the servers. Oh, okay. All right. I see what you mean. Yeah, Monster Hunter Rise runs beautifully. Yeah, story customization. Hold on, I'm jumping ahead here. Keep Captain Falcon in a car. After it needs a reboot. The story, so it needs a reboot anyway. We were just a year two in the the ability to use special moves like Falcon Punch during the race. Maybe not like a Falcon Punch, but moves with the cars, I think would actually be kind of cool. If you're going 1,000 plus miles an hour, you need precision. Name a more iconic rivalry, Nintendo versus online infrastructure. CT, Nintendo versus online infrastructure. I'll wait. Of course you're going to wait. We're on Nintendo servers. You have to wait. If you're playing a Switch game online, I'm fairly confident in saying you're paying yearly. Yeah, you're doing the yearly thing. You don't have $50, Marcos. If they add a whole bounty hunter adventure mode, it wouldn't exactly be a racing game anymore. Assuming it's trying. Well, no, but Dragon, you would have a racing. Not adventure like you get out of the car, just you're driving around doing things with the vehicle. So it would still be a driving game, but the online competitive mode would be a pure racer. That's when you look at something like Fortnite, if you look at Save the World, which is the single player offline mode versus the online mode, they're vastly different experiences, but you would still call Fortnite a shooting game. A third-person shooter. So, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Like, you'd still be driving a vehicle, but for the online, which would probably end up being the bigger thing, it would still be a racer. F-Zero has sold 1.5... Yeah, 1 million might actually be good for F-Zero. F-Zero has sold 5.8 million total. The issue isn't sales. The issue is, will they make their money given the cost of development? And that's the big question. And that's what leads into, what do you even spend on an F-Zero game? That's why I think, in all honesty, a moderately good remaster of F-Zero GX, maybe a nice texture wrap, right? A little somewhere halfway between just upscaling resolution and what they did for Prime Remastered, right? Somewhere in the middle there, but with better controls and an online, a fully functional online mode. Oh, I think along with some support, right? They support, tournament races and prize pools and stuff. I think you would end up getting a really decent experience out of that. It would in the competitive racing. I don't think that there's anything like it. Right? There's Mario Kart and there's Gran Turismo. And is there a high speed racer that has a very competitive market? And I'm not saying any of this is a guarantee. I'm just saying that this is sort of what I think would be interesting to see them do. Also implement like small open worlds where you can drive around, kind of CTR. I'd keep F-Zero pure, so without special power-ups besides knockout, or at least make it optional. I guess make it optional. Most of the GameCube games still look purely upscaled. Still look great, purely upscale. Yeah, so unironic. So let's say you upscale it and you clean it up a bit. You end up with a really decent and F-Zero GX working on like Dolphin and stuff where they have a lot of it looks fantastic. That game, if you've never seen F-Zero GX with like mods to make it look better, it looks amazing. It upscales so well. There's also a problem. It has to be the internal interest from developers. Again, if there's no Miyamoto like figure championing a new entry in the series, there's a high chance it won't be made. Above point with Samus Returns. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, you mean like Samus Returns to 3DS? Popular and widely available system. Wait, hold on. Metrofan said, give us an actual game and we'll buy it. And Samus Returns came out and did what people wanted. And didn't sell super well, even on a huge player base. But it did earn confidence due to its reception. Samus Returns was sort of a weird kind of thing. It came on the heels of the Metroid Prime 4 announcement, and you thought there would be some hype for it. To be fair, the 3DS was. It was already at that point where people were saying they wanted the next thing and they didn't want to buy anything else. I question why. If I had to be honest with you, I would question why Samus Returns did poorly. I mean, there really is no other way to say it. Considering the user base of the 3DS, I think it probably can be agreed upon that it did relatively poorly. I have no idea. I have no idea why, like, what would have changed other than the fact that the 3DS was, at that point, there were a lot of people that were already saying it's time for the next thing. And I know for me, once I get to that point, it's not... I bought it because it's Metroid and because it looked great, and it was actually really great. That's why I got it. But ultimately, if it was... there are tons of games on the 3DS that I didn't buy specifically because they were on the 3DS. And I was just like, I don't want it. I don't want to buy it there. I don't want to have the 3DS be the thing that I play it on. Sadly, no, Greg, to answer you. Melee looks incredible, barring the outdated character designs. High-speed racing's become very niche. Yeah, it's become very niche, so maybe something like F-Zero, puts it at least a little bit in the forefront. Because Metroid is scary. It was too late, I guess. I think AM2R might have stolen some of its thunder, and that's not a bad problem either. You're not correct about that one. It released the year the Switch came out. I think so, yeah. But for the idea, experiment in the twilight years can often lead to neat, but I'll wait for the next system. Oh, it definitely can. It definitely can. I just the reason I bring that up is just because that's sort of what I've been thinking about with the it's sort of what I've been thinking about with the Switch itself. I don't know if I had talked to you guys about this before, about what I think the possibilities are for the Switch right now, for where we are. Obviously I get really annoyed with we need Switch 2. We need to do this. Where's the Switch 2? It Switch is aging and it needs to, you can't make any more games. Oh, later, CT, have a good one. Thank you so much for stopping in. And thank you so much for the or not thank you so much for the anonymous Nightbot sub. But I appreciate it, CT. Thank you. But I was wondering, like, there's all this talk about the Switch and the last third of its life, because I really think that that's where we are. I think we're well past the halfway point. I think we are in or are about to be in the last third of the lifespan of the system. I do think that it's going to linger a little bit more, especially depending on what the next system does. If this is basically a sort of upgrade, or this is going to be the new Switch 2 is going to be the new premium version that has a different feature, maybe VR and AR. But all of the games will still work on the other system. They'll just be better on the new one, or there might be games that are specifically for just the new one. There's a lot you can do with it. And what I was thinking about all of the stuff that we and other people have been saying that Nintendo is stupid for not doing. Think about all of the stuff that people have said that Nintendo is dumb for not doing. I can't believe they haven't done a Paper Mario trilogy. I can't believe we don't have a GameCube app, or they're not remastering GameCube games. I can't believe they're not making this, or they're not putting this out, or this IP is sitting there, or nothing's happening. Where is this game? And it made me think, well, what if that's the plan? What if the first 2/3 of the lifespan of the system are like any other? They're putting out new games. They're not super experimental, but they are putting out different experiences. They've got new franchises. They've got some returning entries into old franchises, or new entries into old franchises. And then, I can't believe the only new Mario game on Switch is Odyssey. Yeah, and Dragoon, and that's a perfect example. There's all these things that we think they haven't, that we think that they're stupid for not doing. But what if they're saving them for the last third of the system? What if they're waiting for the final years when people don't want to buy the newest games because the newest games are better, graphically and power-wise and feature-wise? They're probably better on one of the other systems. Oh, I'm going to get the PS5 version because it looks better, or I'm going to get this other version, or the PS5 version because it goes on sale, right? Because Sony actually believes in putting their games on sale. So what if that's what this next year and a half to 2 years of the Switch is going to look like? We know it, and that's what that and Dragon. That's why I said that makes me laugh. That is what's going on. We got a fully remastered, amazing Metroid Prime 1. I still think that the others are on their way. I don't know where 4 is going to be, if that's going to be this system or cross-gen or next system. But I still think that the next 2 Metroid Primes are going to be on this system, and they are unbelievable remasters. You've got now you have all of the Pikmins except for one. You're missing Hey Pikmin. But now you've got all of the Pikmin games, which I know Pikmin is not, it's not the beast, but it is, it is something that's there. You've got Mario RPG that people have been talking about for years. Why is Mario RPG not on the NSO? Why aren't they doing like a remake? This would be a great time, right? Strategy games are bigger than ever. Why aren't they doing it? They're doing it. Where's the new 2D Mario? It's coming this year. It's later this year. What about this franchise? What about that? What if that's the plan? If over the next 2 years we're going to see the Metroid Primes, we're going to see the F-Zero, we see the Pikmin, we see Wind Waker, right? Wind Waker Remastered would sell on its own for $40. It'd probably sell on its own for $60. Let's be completely honest here. But Wind Waker on its own, Skyward Sword. We had Skyward Sword. We had the remake of Link's Awakening. You do a HD remaster of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, and you put them on the Switch. Those will sell. It's $70 if you do a double pack where you get Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. The point is that there are different ways to do the back third of a system, and this could be what Nintendo is doing. So when we look at something like F-Zero, when we look at something like Kid Icarus, and we think, well, they're leaving money on the table, not doing anything. Paper Mario, right? Look at how much they could sell of Paper Mario if they did it. Well, maybe the point is that those games don't tax the system very much, so they're better off saving them for the when the popularity of the system starts to decline and the maximum amount of units are out there, and now they can sell these things to the biggest crowd. it's less of a risk to sell a new F-Zero experience when there are 150 million systems out there. Even if people bite just for the beginning and they pick the game up and they check it out and they're just okay with it, you probably will end up doing really well. Paper Mario Trilogy would have sold great 1 year into the system. How's it going to sell 6 years into the system, 7 years into the system? That game's gonna sell amazingly. Well, we hope so anyway. Must be honest, the Legacy of the Kingdom rise back up in the sales charts. I can't believe Nintendo hasn't updated their Hanafuda card designs. Lazy artists and Marcos, and they keep using the same design on the backs of the cards. It's so lazy. Every card on the back looks exactly the same. It's stupid. Never say, hey, Pikmin. That was a calculated decision from Nintendo. Pikmin 3 on the Switch actually sold very well, even shocking Nintendo. Honestly, wish Nintendo would make a 2D Mario game like the old Mario Flash game, Mario 63. No, Plant, just give me Mario Z, man. I've been saying it for years. Give me Mario Z as a game. I was thinking more Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess 4 game pack. Honestly, CT, and this is gonna sound weird coming from me if you guys know how I feel about Ocarina of Time. A Prime remastered style remake of Ocarina of Time with that level of detail added to the graphics and extra control schemes to make it more functional, that game would fly off the shelf at $40. I want you to imagine that. I want you to imagine a remaster in the way Prime Remastered was remade. Only it's Ocarina of Time, it's got controls and everything, and it's $40. That game teleports off the shelves. They would have trouble keeping that in. It would be amazing. And people would say, well, why are they doing this now? Why not? This is why they're doing it now. Because they know that you'll buy it. And to me, the potential here is that Nintendo is actually doing something really smart. And for all the frustration that everybody's been dealing with, we just haven't seen it until now. It's a great way to wrap up the system. Now you turn it into the ultimate backwards compatible device. Probably helps that Square Enix now is chill about a lot of stuff since the 14 boom started carrying them. Mm-hmm. These final years are going to be ports, remakes, and remasters. All their big teams are working on their next stuff for the new hardware. Mario Kart DLC isn't taking much dev time compared to a new game. Nerd, what's this? Can keep pumping out their retro game ports. They can coast on their system's Twilight years on that alone. The Nintendo ex-employee mentioned in the that they projected an F-Zero cost versus profit, and the other projects were more lucrative. Of course, yeah, they definitely will be. I guess, like I said, it just depends on what kind of F-Zero project they're looking at. Because remastering GX and adding some features to it might actually be a lot more cost-effective than just... I mean, I'm sure it'll be a lot more cost-effective than just making a new game. Wakanda forever. Hi, Ubiquitous. I see you lurking. Hey, puppy. Shout out to Sakurai. I keep saying it would be nice to play this on the Switch whenever Uprising is brought up. It sounds like Pikmin 3 and FE Awakening are certainly a sign a new F-Zero could work, but all of those games fundamentally changed the OG games, which was divisive to older fans, even to this day, especially with FE. So a new F-Zero would probably need to adapt. Also get a dev actually wanting to make it, and older fans not appreciate the monkey's paw. Yeah, I think it can work. I think it can work. And again, I wouldn't see a new F-Zero as changing the landscape of racing, and you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't see it anything like that. But I think there's a way to do it that's lucrative. And especially, you look at the competitive aspect and you say, all right, racing. What about battling? What about F-Zero battling? Imagine F-Zero cars in something like Rocket League. Imagine getting F-Zero vehicles in Rocket League, or F-Zero just having a game that you play with each other like that. Not exactly Rocket League, but What if it just had a game that you played? Yeah, F-Zero is already kind of like a battle. Yeah, so what about an actual battle mode, not a race? And you actually, you compete against each other and you do stuff, either in obstacles or direct combat. It'd be interesting. I think it would be interesting to see what you can do with F-Zero now. Wait till the cross promotion with Rocket League. I'm telling you, F-Zero means Burnout. A Rocket League style F-Zero game would be so dope. I'm telling you, this would actually work. It would just be Nintendo's, and that's the thing. That's what I feel like. That's the problem I think with F-Zero is that if you don't do anything extra, it feels like Nintendo's futuristic Forza. It's just a racing simulation, but the cars fly, which on its own is pretty cool. But and you've got the F-Zero name behind it. But yeah, you'd have to add some other things. But if you did, I think you end up with a pretty good experience. I think you end up with an experience that's worth at least $40. I absolutely think so. F-Zero Baby Park Last Man Standing. Maybe not change the landscape. As my example, those games which had decent sales are revived by shaking the formula up a lot. So I wouldn't be shocked if a new F-Zero did the same to pull in new players. Yeah, so a more, like I said, any one of those things, a more elaborate. Just an online mode on its own is a shakeup for F-Zero, but a single player, a robust single player mode. Maybe a multiplayer mode where you don't race but you battle or something, like those are things that can be added that I think people would actually get a kick out of. I don't want balloon battle F-Zero. Wow, just give the Falcon punch to all the racers and use that. That's what somebody was saying earlier, like give them special moves and stuff, and that'd be interesting. Maybe for battle, maybe in like a battle mode, and in the racing mode you can't do that. Or maybe you could turn it off and on. It'll be like Final Smashes in Smash Brothers, where you can turn them on or off if you feel like doing that. I want chaos in F-Zero. All the best Nintendo multiplayer games feed off chaos with friends. I mean, who's to say it wouldn't be chaotic? And again, if they change F-Zero, I suspect we'll hear a lot of the same stuff we heard after Smash Melee. I question that, Dragoon, to be honest with you, because obviously there will be people who complain, because there are people that complain about everything. I feel like you'd get a lot of people who are just like, I'm just happy to see F-Zero back. I think that's what you'd get. It's going to be, because it's going to be fast-paced racing, right? So what else? What do you do to make it wrong? Which I'm sure there are people writing their lists right now of what you can do wrong with F-Zero. I think people would, especially if it's a remaster of a game that already exists, I think people would just say, yeah, I'm just happy to have it. I'm happy to have it modernized on the Switch where I can play it, and there's a multiplayer game. And, maybe, and what do we always say with this stuff? If you support this one, maybe it's going to prove to them that there's some desire to play these games, and maybe they'll work towards a better one. F-Zero in HD should be gimmick enough for Nintendo. Make everyone a baby. Oh my God, baby Falcon. Oh, baby Captain Falcon. Pink gold samurai Gordo. Or what was his name? Gordo or Goro? Oh. Hi, Sage, wherever you are. I think he's upstairs. He likes to sleep on a chair that I have upstairs. F-Zero GX was the worst. It didn't have enough mode 7. Oh, I mean, we can do like mode 37 now. We can do many more modes. That's why I bet for 42 states. I mean, good morning. Just simply inherent difficult. It would be just simply inherently difficult because of the speed. People say F-Zero with online is enough. That's novel. To which I say there's a difference between being novel and being late to the party. What would an F-Zero offer that no other online racer does? A last man standing mode would be kind of cool. Marcos, at the very least, it would offer a close to premium, maybe a premium racing experience based on fast-paced racing. That's what I was saying earlier. If you want simulation racing, Gran Turismo and maybe Forza. If you want silly kart racing, Mario Kart. That's, you know what I mean? Those are the ones. There's no real super popular futuristic racing. You know, if you want sports like combat, you play Rocket League. There's no super fast paced vehicle racing. There isn't anything like that. That is more mainstream, right? We have like Fast RMX and what's the other one? There's another one with letters. You know, those games exist out there, but they're not. If you put one of those games up against a really competent F-Zero game, the F-Zero game's always going to win. It just has more behind it, and that's not a slam on any one of those games. Shovel Knight was a fantastic game, but when you put it up against an actual Mega Man game or something, usually the Mega Man game comes out on top. With Space, Anti-Grav, and Vertigo. F-Zero is a very different racing experience. The closest I can pick is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Fast RMX sold pretty well and then dropped off fast, sadly. And that was it's dropped off fast. And that was a launch title for Switch. So yeah, so what if Fast RMX was F-Zero and it sold really well and then Nintendo continued to support it for 2 years? Online tournament races like they do for Smash Brothers and Tetris. You know, extra cars that you can unlock, extra skins. Maybe they did some DLC where you had extra story modes and stuff. Like if they would have supported that, I think people would have. I think people would have liked it. It would have been the first time. Again, it would have been the first time F-Zero was in an environment that supported it in that way, and you'd probably see growth in a way you never saw before with the franchise. Because again, once you take those games home and there's nobody to play with you, those games they lose the excitement factor very quickly. Guess people dig Mega Man more. Got passed back from my sister's Netflix. Attempted to watch the first episode of live action One Piece when it comes out. I don't have access to Netflix anymore. I'm bummed out because I think the new Sonic. What the hell? Is it Sonic Prime? Is that what it's called? I think the new part of the season came out for that. My question is, if you release the same game that had declining sales, how do you pull in new players? All you end up doing is selling to the existing market, which, as we don't even know how GX sold, is a question mark. How do you bring in new people? Sales. Discounts, extra content, the same way I would say the same way you bring it in with any existing game that you then want to get a little bit of a resurgence in the sales. You put it on sale. You do something, you offer something, you make it kind of interesting for people to want to do it. Because yeah, at some point you're just going to sell to just the fans. But the user base of the Switch is so massive right now. Even if you only count initial sales and then you scale it down, it'll probably scale down to a relatively decent level. It'll probably scale down to a point where it's still worth it to support the game for a little while. You bribe people. The Wipeout series, but it also faded off. Yeah, Wipeout was terrific. Wipeout to me was a little bit different aesthetically though. Wipeout started to do this sort of dark future kind of thing, and just aesthetically I didn't cling to it nearly as much as I would have like a Mario Kart or an F-Zero. I love the game though. I love the Wipeout games. I thought Wipeout 3 was fantastic, but Wipeout XL I think was my favorite one though. But Wipeout 3 was great also. It just didn't see the support because again, when you take that game home and there's nobody to play it with, what do you got? Shovel Knight sold 800,000 copies over Mega Man 11. Oh yeah, the Daisy's new. I got a couple of them. I got Daisy. Well, I also got Spike, little spiky guy. And then I got, where are my other ones? I got Metroid, and I got Triforce. Oh wait, hold on, it's upside down. No, wait, it was right the first time. Yeah, so I got these, and then this way, whenever we play a Metroid game, I can it's got the little stickies. I can stick a Metroid on there, or when we play Zelda, stick a Triforce on there. Sonic Prime was one of the Sonic cartoons. Yeah, whatever the one on Netflix is right now. It's a very good show. I liked it. Yeah, sales, Nintendo? Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. You just yeah, and Jerf, let's be honest here. This is a week old. Don't give anybody crap for not noticing the daisy, which, depending on where you are, where I am, and I move the mic, it might be behind the chat. But, don't give anybody crap for it because it's literally only a week old. Where's that daisy sprite from? I have no idea. I think it's a custom sprite, to be completely honest with you. They had a Peach that looked exactly like the Mario 2 sprite for Peach. So I'm wondering if it's like a play on that, where if this was Mario 2, this is what she would look like. That's the way I look at it. Spiny, not Spike. Oh, that's right. Spike was the one that spit out the giant spiky balls, right? Wasn't that him? Wasn't that a Spike? A Spiny. I'm sorry. Fake Mario fan. But yeah, F-Zero remains dead. Also, to be fair, support isn't the fix people think it is. The Mario sports games got support, but still struggled. Support required players to buy into the game. Oh yeah, I know. I'm just saying that. As far as how to change the experience, basically what I'm saying just about F-Zero specifically is that F-Zero can be a game that it's never had an opportunity to be. So it's hard for me to go by the sales numbers and say, oh well, this is why it failed. Well, it failed because the ecosystem didn't support that kind of game. But now that it does, and now that there are multiple ways to get more out of something like F-Zero, we don't actually know. That's my ultimate argument. My ultimate argument is that we don't know what an F-Zero would do in this current gaming environment, simply because it's never been in an environment that looked anything even remotely like this. I feel like we're pretty far removed from what gaming looked like 10 years ago. Right? Gaming 10 years ago, there was online, but it wasn't like it was now. The online modes were very much secondary on the disc. And so even 10 years ago, gaming looked very different. Gaming in this environment, for something like F-Zero, you might actually come out with a pretty viable product. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be blowing up the charts and it's going to sell 40 million copies or anything. I'm just saying that, if you put some development resources into a remaster of GX, you add online mode, you add some other things, and you support the game for a year and a half, I think you could probably end up with a very lucrative product. Something at the very least is going to make back its money. I mean, again, this is all just speculation. This is me talking out of my ass. It could mean I could be wildly wrong, or they could put out F-Zero F of the Wild and really change the entire landscape of the franchise and say, yeah, we've got really fast tracks and really fast racing, but there's also this large exploratory aspect to the game where you drive around the whole country, and you're flying at 1100 what F-Zero AX. You could actually do something like that. You know what I mean? F of the Kingdom. I think it's worse. But you can do that. And I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying that it's an interesting direction that you can take a franchise. And I mean, I've said before about Metroid Prime 4, I think should be an open galaxy game. I think that you should be able to visit multiple planets whenever you want, and there should be tons of things that you can do. There's still a regular game. There's still a path of story that you have to follow to get you to the end and fight, whatever the creature is going to be. But there's also a bunch of other stuff you can do, and you could probably even do that with F-Zero. Open world futuristic racing game. Open system. You could even say if you're talking about futuristic in space, you could even say that you go to different planets. So now another GameCube game I'm waiting on is Toadstool Tour. Totally good. Those things wouldn't change, and fans love those things would be change, and fans love overreacting to change. Again though, Dragoon, I feel like it's been so long that we've had an F-Zero. I honestly think F-Zero fans would say, listen, at this point, I'm just happy to have F-Zero back. I think that and obviously you don't want to give them a single A title, right? You don't want to give them shovelware, but I think that a lot of fans would say, like, yeah, I'm just happy to be driving F-Zero. I'm just happy to be playing F-Zero, and you know, if it's got an online mode where you can play, and it works, I think just F-Zero GX with an online mode would be enough to get some people to give it a try. I think there'd be like 10 or 20 bucks. I think people would say, yeah, I'll give that a shot. Why not? It's F-Zero. F-Zero Federation Force. F-Zero Fist of the Falcon. Oh, in racing games, the major simulation games like GT and Forza cleaned up the genre. Even legendary series like Need for Speed or Race Driver, wow, died off because of the big ones. Arcade racing is just not profitable currently. And GG, I wonder if part of that is just that, you know, and now we've got the ecosystem for online racing. But they're just not pushing them. You know, you push something like F-Zero and maybe that wakes people up. Have Samus do actual bounty hunting instead of what Nintendo thought bounty hunting was, Space Cop. Oh, I said before, Marcos, talking about Metroid, I've said before that I would want to take bounties from the Federation in an open galaxy Metroid game. I would want bounties from the Federation as far as capturing people. You know, we have this criminal we need you to get, or maybe there's some task that you need to do, some security detail or something, and then from the people in the galaxy, they would give you side missions. They would give you tasks that you can do. You know, go and fight this creature. There's a cave near town, and there's a monster, and you know, and that's where that would come in. So the bounties would be the actual name for the side quests from the Federation, and then I don't know, tasks or something would be anything you get from not the Federation, anything from townspeople or other organizations. We said with Samus Returns, and people still didn't buy it, sadly. We just want a Metroid game, Nintendo. And to be fair, I mean, Metroid fans did buy Samus Returns. There are a lot of people saying that they want to play it. But yeah, my thing with Samus Returns was just, I wonder how much of and I'm not saying it was or it wasn't. I'm saying how much of it was that people just didn't want to buy 3DS games, because I could sit here and say that that's not the case, and a lot of people could say that that's not the case. But I actively avoided the 3DS in the last couple of years of its life, just because I didn't want to be playing on a 3DS anymore. The Switch was just a better system, and I didn't really want the dual screen thing. It's sort of like the gamepad for the Wii U. Yeah, it adds a different dimension of gameplay, but I didn't want it. I just wanted a screen. I wanted one screen, no touch, and that was what I wanted. Uncle hates the 3DS. I don't hate the 3DS. I just got tired of the gimmick. Not clickbait. Definitely hate the. Wait a minute now. Wait, why do I hate the Wii U? Yeah, no touching. Well, you know, puppy, not for my video games. Blast Ball is just Federation's yearly version of our corporate baseball games and company picnics. Oh, that's the fun thing they get the employees to do, when really they're judging the employees on teamwork. If I play anything with bounty hunters, I need to see wanted posters with bounty prices on the picture. Yeah, I think that it's interesting. And the reason we brought all of this up in the first place was just because of the whole thing about F-Zero sales. And my whole point was just that I don't know that those sales in particular translate into sales of today, just because the kind of game that would come out today, I feel, is very different. I feel is a lot different from, you know, if they made a new F-Zero and it was exactly the same thing, right? No offline mode, moderate amount of story, moderate amount of customization, I think it would do terrible. I think it would do awful if they did that. It would need to be online. But if it was online and it had some interesting modes and it came out at a reasonable price, I think people would actually get it just to check it out. I would. You give me a relatively robust F-Zero experience for $40, I'll give it a shot. Absolutely. I still have a considerable backlog for my 3DS. Hold on. My summoning ritual for a new Burnout game hasn't worked yet. I've bought 6 different copies of Burnout Paradise just in hopes to see more. I could have sworn that they did announce a new Burnout game. Did they not announce one? Two fair people said, I just want a game, we'll support it, and as Sandwich Returns shows, this isn't really what fans end up doing. It didn't make a profit, I believe. And again, it did at least prove Mercury Steam skills enough to make Dread. Metroid is smart, really. It touches you. It touches you. Oh my gosh! See, now I'm stuck on. Okay. It teaches you that the government sucks and they don't have your best interest at heart. Not clickbait. In this essay, I'll explain. Hey, RC. Oh, you know why F-Zero is dead? There aren't enough games to make a full summoning circle, so you can't get a new one. That's why. It would make people read descriptions labels from how bored they are. Since no F-Zero games is coming, don't expect the GameCube remaster F-Zero GX. I would say that the remaster of GX would be the new game. The kind of means they could also say they shouldn't look at that. They shouldn't look at that to prove games would sell well if the sales data isn't really accurate. Well, it's Dragoon. I agree with you on that. Provided that you're going to make, and this is my point, provided that you're making the same kind of game. You know, if you're talking about Mario platformers from back in the day and the sales numbers on the way, right? 2D offline single player Mario games. And you look at that nowadays, that's relatively believable data because you had, you know, the new series that, and for whatever, you know, however you feel that was received or not received. You had the Mario Maker, like Mario Maker's a fundamentally different type of game, but you have it's a recognizable experience. I feel like a new F-Zero, considering how long it was since the old one, I feel like would be an unrecognizable experience for F-Zero. Not unrecognizable, but it would be nothing like the franchise has ever had. So I think that that's what's different. You know, if you were to use that same formula to measure Mario sales, for instance, I think that that's fair because the next Mario game that you're going to make is probably going to look like those games, right? Mario Odyssey 2 isn't going to look dramatically different from Mario Odyssey 1. An F-Zero game now would look way different than, what was it, Climax was the last one that came out, which is just funny to say. The real question is, what excuse would F-Zero fans to give? What excuse would F-Zero fans give if a new one would fail? I mean, enough people didn't buy it is not really an excuse. That's just explaining what happened. It's all Nintendo's fault. Assuming that there's not something wrong with the game, because if there's something wrong with the game, that's it, right? If the online works terribly, this is why. If they don't show any support for it, this is why. Like I don't mean to be sounding like I'm targeting F-Zero fans, because let's be honest here, this happens with every fandom. No matter how great we think something's going to sell, if it doesn't sell well, we've probably got some excuse. I feel like Metroid fans. And I'm sure there are outliers. I'm sure there are people that are exceptions to this. But I feel like Metroid fans are me anyway. I'm pretty much like, yeah, my franchise has never sold really well. I'm fine with it, right? Samus Returns was a great game. It didn't sell really well. Yeah, I kind of expected that. Metroid Dread took forever. I think Metroid Dread's finally passed 3 million. But it really took a long time to get past 3 million. Yeah, I have no excuses for it. Metroid's always sold badly. You know what I mean? That's why I think something like Prime 4 being open galaxy would be vastly different from any Metroid experience we've had before. It would be Breath of the Wild for Metroid. And I think that alone would sell it more than any other Metroid game has ever sold. According to my calculations, next RPG will be based on anime personas. There's Crackbot Theory. I never played any of those. Greg targeting F-Zero fans. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This example, I assume the game comes out as is, no major issues. Yeah, if you're talking about no major issues, it's probably just going to be something about Nintendo not supporting it or not advertising it properly or something. Yeah, Metroid, I don't know. I really don't know the F-Zero fan base. I know the Metroid fan base specifically. We're just like, yeah, it never sells well. Boy, Metroid Dread was supposed to be great and it only sold 3 million units. Yeah, that's kind of what we deal with. That's why we're so grateful to have a new game. I'm just happy they haven't forgotten about Metroid. Oh, forgot to say this last time I was here, so happy belated birthday. Thank you so much. Metal Insanity. I have to figure out a Insanity, I guess. I can't call you Metal because there's two people that come in here named Metal. Targeting F-Zero fans, they think is a bigger series than it is. It's a hardcore gamers. It's a hardcore game. Oh, you Dragon. It's a hardcore racing game. You wouldn't understand it. Okay. It was too complicated. Me, an Earthbound fan, knowing damn well we're stuck with a trilogy of games. You're not, Marcos. No, you might get 4 any day now. Mother 4 any day now, Marcos. I'm pulling for you. Want a new Wario platform game, and that will never happen again. But Samus Returns does show a very Nintendo habit. They let Mercury Steam make Dread because they proved they could do it, and that was a gimmick in this case, which is what Nintendo is always trying to do to bring games back. Find that gimmick or key thing that makes it stand out to them. Oh, Pizza Tower and the like makes Nintendo realize people still want to play Wario Land style games. I've never played Pizza Tower. I've seen it, and I don't know that game would work well for me. And that's met. Oh wait, the reason Ace Attorney Investigation didn't get localized because the reason 2 didn't get localized because the first one didn't sell very well. 3 million on a Nintendo budget sounds a lot more, means a lot more than 3 million on a Square Enix budget. Because I think Nintendo and Square Enix, I think I get what you're saying, but I feel like Nintendo and Square Enix are both kind of right there. Although Nintendo, I guess, doesn't put as much money into their development. What's this? You don't even have to. What do you mean I don't have? What? Mother? We have Mother 3. Yeah, we got Mother 3. Just go to a convention and look at one of those. Go to one of those tables where they've got a bunch of really shiny carts of games you've never seen before, and you can pick up a copy of Mother 3. Prime 4 can only come out after Mother 4. I mean, at this point, I imagine Mother 4 will come out first. You're stuck with a trilogy that one of those games isn't even an official translation. It's Wario Land shaking on crack. Never got the appeal of F-Zero. It just seems like racing, but slightly futuristic. It's definitely not slightly futuristic. It's definitely straight up futuristic. Go to your local emulator store. We not have Mother 3, I assure you. Nintendo tends to be more cost effective, is my point. Oh yeah, so 3 million feels it's 3 million on their system. It does feel a lot better, but it took a while. You know, you have games that come out and obviously they're not juggernauts, right? You can't put Metroid Dread up against Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, right? Tears of the Kingdom, what was it, 10 million copies in 3 days? You can't put it up against that. But Metroid, I find Metroid to be similar to F-Zero in the sense that, especially for longtime Nintendo fans, it's a franchise you've heard of. You probably have fond memories of playing probably the one on Super Nintendo, and everybody thinks it's going to be bigger than it's probably going to be if they bring it back and they really put some effort into it. I feel like F-Zero fans just never had the chance. Metroid fans, I think most of us were all pretty much like, yeah, it's gonna, a couple million. We got a few million. It's not gonna change the landscape of gaming. There's a real question, not a joke. Why is the game series called? Oh, I have no idea. Jerf, to be completely honest, I've said before, Earthbound at least. It's very mid to me. I actually don't like the series as much as anybody else does. I tried playing Mother 1, Earthbound Beginnings, and I couldn't. Nothing about that game held my interest. Nothing about it did. And then for Earthbound, I've tried multiple times to play it, and I just can't get locked into that game. You have to pay me. I think I would have to be doing like a special stream or a sponsor stream or something to play Earthbound, to try it again. Let me put it that way. 10 million in 3 days. Good lord, Zelda really got a boost from being on the Switch. We're going to get Mother 3 on the Japanese NSO app, and I look forward to shitstorm Nintendo's Mastodon account. Nintendo has a Mastodon account. What's the one, Marcos? What's the one that you need a Blue Sky? Is that the one that you need a request? Like somebody has to give you an invite link or something? I think the reason the OG game was focused around the mother as the major. Oh, okay, major point. It means Greg is bad at RPGs. Well, you're not wrong there. How many bits to play Earthbound 3? The best one. Plot. There we go. Plot point. Okay. Twitter won't be around, I assure you. Oh, also to my Dread point, even the Metroid developer said we wanted to make Dread for years, but we didn't have that thing to make it. He also said that seeing Samus Returns, he said that's it. These people can help me make what I couldn't do myself, and that's what Nintendo tries to do. So Dragon, so maybe F-Zero is in the works, and they're just waiting for that thing. They're waiting for that one element that comes up and says, "Oh my God, the F-Zero is back, and it's bigger and better than it's ever been. Maybe a VR mode, right, to make everybody sick as fast as possible." Only good thing about Earthbound is when your psychic points increase and the game says max PP up. Okay, I mean, well, yeah, but and then the pretentious Earthbound, like, what is this Y2K that exists just to get memed on? Shigesato Itoi was a fan of John Lennon's song Mother. The story of the first Mother revolves around a mother figure named Maria. VR F-Zero. Could you imagine VR F-Zero? It's just instant vomit. No, the VR stands for vomit really fast. And that's what I always feel. Nintendo may have F-Zero ideas, but are waiting for that thing, be it an idea or a person wanting to make it. See, and I know I'm kind of a dick for this one, but I constantly say the whole thing about waiting for someone to make it. I feel like you'd be better off waiting for somebody who's very passionate about it. But realistically, if Nintendo suddenly decided tomorrow that they want an F-Zero game made, they're going to pick a team and they're going to do it, and because they get paid to work at a company. And again, I know that makes me sound like a harsh dick, but they get paid to work at a company and they get paid to develop what they're told to develop. And not everything is a passion project. So yeah, they are employees. And if Nintendo walked in tomorrow and said, "All right, we want to start making an F-Zero game," they're not gonna the people who are paid by Nintendo are not gonna sit there and go, "I really don't want to." You're gonna do your job, or you're gonna get fired, because that's how having a job works. Mother 3, nothing bad happens to the mother figure. Nope, nothing bad at all. That doesn't sound very good. I remember Sonic Generations had FPS mod. It's exactly like what you think. Someone at Nintendo will want to make an F-Zero to tell people to make it. I was going to say something about South Park Stick of Truth being, South Park Paper Mario to try to get me to play it. But can you even stream that game on Twitch because of certain part? I don't know, Jerf. The problem is I wouldn't play that game just because I don't really like South Park. I thought that the first one or two seasons of the show were kind of funny. But once it's kind of like Family Guy in a sense. Once you get past the gimmick, which for Family Guy was like the flashbacks and stuff. For South Park, to me, obviously it was supposed to be some of the shock value combined with the absurdity of the show. Once you kind of get past that and you get a couple of seasons into it, for me, I was just like, okay, it's just more of the same. Every once in a while there's a clever joke, but I'm like, it's alright, it's fine. You're working on the next Mario sports game. Make sure you withhold content. Nintendo just do a Twitter poll to see if people want a new F-Zero. Yeah, this is why indie games do stuff better. Capcom had no interest in making a Mega Man game a beloved, long-running series until the Mega Man 11 guy said, I want to make one. Before that, according to him, higher-ups were happy to leave the series be. Companies are content to make games that work rather than force a project. Oh, and I know, and Dragon, I know, I that's definitely true, and I agree to that. What I mean, though, is if the company did decide, no, we want this game made, I don't think that the argument of, well, you have to find somebody who wants to make it. No, I don't. I think that falls apart. So I think, when we talk about this stuff, we're typically talking about Nintendo wanting to make an F-Zero game and not Nintendo shopping around to see if anybody wants to potentially do it. Like, I'm talking about Nintendo turning to the developers and saying, I want to get the ball rolling on an F-Zero game. And it's not going to be left to the developers to go, I don't want to. If you want to get paid, you're going to. And again, for the thousandth time, I know that it sounds like a dick that I'm saying that, but they are employees at a company. Really, it makes more sense for the company to wait for somebody who's passionate about the project, or for there to be enough demand. And that's sort of the other thing, is that the people who are passionate about some of these things, not just F-Zero, the people who are passionate about Kid Icarus, for instance, I think that the people who are passionate about it are very passionate about it. But I don't think there's as many of them as they think. We talk about like the Sakurai thing, where I would really like to play this on the Switch someday, and he's talking about Kid Icarus, and great. There's a lot of people that are very vocal about wanting Kid Icarus Uprising on the Switch, myself included. I never played Uprising. I think it would be a great opportunity for me to play it. But it doesn't... I forget where I was going with that. But I know that I'm one person, and I know that a lot of people are like, yeah, that would be cool. It'd be cool. I'm not going to fight for it. I'm not going to run out there and make and or sign poll after poll asking for a new Kid Icarus Uprising. I'm just saying that if I was going to put that energy towards anything, I'd be running a campaign right now to try and get Tactics remade. It would be cool to have. I think it would be cool to have. I think a new F-Zero would be cool to have for the F-Zero fans, but I don't think there's as many of them as they think. I'm supposed to hate Cartman. I do. Turn the channel, please. What's this? South Park is an episodic series, so by extension, seeing the same dynamic run its course it eventually does get tiring. Granted, I haven't seen much of South Park, but the standard formula of adult cartoon isn't really my kind of thing. I like the adult cartoon formula, assuming it's done. I mean, there's multiple ways to do it, and I'm glad that people are starting to discover that. Companies like Nintendo, they have a dragon's hoard of money. Yeah, they don't have much incentive to force the issue. They could do it. Star Fox. Ooh, excuse me. Star Fox isn't dead so long as Miyamoto lives and breathes. Same with Pikmin. There are 10 F-Zero fans, and 5 of them are Ryan, and 2 of them are you. I've already been conscripted into the battle for Kid Icarus Uprising. I've already been conscripted into the battle for Kid Icarus Uprising. I'm one of you now. What do you mean? FF6 is getting a Tactics remake, so that counts for something. I mean, it definitely does count for something. It's also a true issue. A lot of us are like, that would be cool, but we're not standing there screaming next to the hardcore fans because to us it would be nice, but not something to get mad about, especially if we aren't not even mad, Dragon, just passionate. There's no energy in me to be passionate about where's my next F-Zero game, where's a new game, where's Kid Icarus Uprising, where's Four Swords, right? Because even in that sense, I think that there are other things that would be more relatable to me. Four Swords on the Switch. I mean Castlevania Harmony of Despair, but that's not a Nintendo game. But there are other things that I would be more passionate about when it comes to stuff that I'd want to see there. Mother 3. Hey Arwing, when are we getting a Piranha Plant focus game? How about unironic? How about a... Ooh, wait a minute. Hold on. how about a Mario themed Plants vs Zombies, like a tower defense game, but you are a Koopa Troopa and you are trying to protect one of Bowser's castles from enemies, from like angry piranha plants and stuff. There you go. There you go. Koopas versus zombies or something. Right? Quick $10 game, quick $20 game, mobile experience, $10 game, mobile experience. You get extra characters, there's levels, they can add levels later, right? $10 experience on mobile, and you get a little time sink of a game, tower defense featuring Mario characters. Passion is a way better way to put it. The issue is that, yeah, passion can quickly become anger and a lack of support. Hey, Sean Wolf, by the way, what's going on? Even if they remastered GX or just simply port it to NSO, they can test the audience. Konami hates fun. We'll buy all $3,500 Nintendo stock and... we'll buy 35... Oh, it's not all 35. We'll all buy $3,500 in Nintendo stock and ask Furukawa at the next investors meeting. Oh my god, I wish. Trios in the hunt with a tier 1 sub. Subscribe for 44 months. Thank you so much, Trios. Speaking of $10, have 5 on me. I have nothing witty to say. That was witty enough. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I would actually buy it. Playing as Bowser's minions would be cool. Mario PVZ Garden Warfare was what I thought. I never played that one. I never played Garden Warfare. That was the one that wasn't a what's it called, right? It wasn't a tower defense game. Puppy Wuppy, thank you so much. Have a good one, and I'll you may want to keep an eye on Twitter or something, because I may be posting. For anybody that saw my Twitter post earlier, I may be posting pictures somewhere of my progress. Plumbers versus Koopas versus Toads. Ooh, Dry Bones. Wait. Koopas versus Dry Bones. Oh, there you go. Koopas versus Dry Bones. Because the Dry Bones are like zombies. If it was a Koopa, Toads would be the ones dying, unless you want the Toad to try and defend itself. Or Zelda-style Plants versus Zombies. Deku's versus... Oh, that's kind of cool. You see that when you tell overly passionate fan anything that doesn't say the game they like will do well? Most fans... Yeah. What's this? Most fans go steps chill. Hold on, I think you mixed that one up there, or at least I did. Oh, what progress? I for the last like year and a half, I've really been not slacking on my diet, although I have been slacking on my diet. I'm still going to the gym, but I'm not eating the way I was at first when I was really losing the weight, because that was really not sustainable. The way I lost my weight initially was not really super sustainable. So I've gotten at my lowest. My lowest was October 21, which I had started in March of 21, and I was down to actually, it was a little bit after. I got down to 226. When I started losing weight, I was 340, and within, I'd say, 5 or 6 months, I was down to about 230. My lowest was 226. But since then, I've eased up on the diet. I reintroduced certain things. I wasn't really intermittent fasting. And as a result, now I'm just under 280. So I have gone back up. So I was thinking about, now that my vacation's over and I really want to get back into losing weight, and I want to find something to sort of motivate myself, other than just, I know I can just do it, but I like to have some sort of a motivation. So I thought about posting pictures, just progress. I figure if I share progress pictures, I'll sort of like shame myself into making sure that I stick with everything, just because, well, I can't post progress pics and then I'm not now posting anything. So I thought about doing that, and I wasn't really sure how or where. I'm super self-conscious about it, so I wasn't really sure if I was going to do it on Twitter, if I'm going to do it at all. But I wasn't really sure if I would do it on Twitter or not. So I thought about making an account somewhere else And so somewhere where shirtless pictures of people are probably a little bit more common. And I really wouldn't advertise it or anything. It would basically just be, I'll probably mention it once and then move on from there. But yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking like maybe I'll start posting some pictures just of my physical progress and knowing that it exists online. Maybe that's enough motivator for me to not half-ass it and go at it the way I used to. Oh, later, puppy. Have a good one. Garden Warfare 2 is the closest game to being like Team Fortress 2. Which, did you hear, Team Fortress 2 is apparently shutting down after all these years? Apparently they're going to shut down the servers. It looks like your summer vacation is over. Another reason why we don't see new game for franchises, people want to also have to convince their advertising department that it's worth it. If they don't believe it's worth the cost, they'll tell the higher-ups it's not worth it. One last point to the sales data stuff. Always remember, bad sales don't count if we like the game. Good sales don't count if we don't like the game. Rise of Silver Gains is here. A Discord channel for Greg's shirtless flex pics. Oh, God. If I scroll one more tweet thread and see OF girls, I'm gonna lose my damn mind. Hey, but Plant, I mean, I can't fault anybody. I can't fault anybody for hustling for good money. And that's really what it is. That's really what it is. Isn't that just Instagram? I don't want to make an Instagram, though. The last time I had an Instagram account, I forgot about it for years. And then when I tried to log back into it, well, I managed to log back into it. And then a week later, it was hacked. And I just deleted the whole thing. Instagram really helped me. Maybe I would have to make a new Instagram. Oh, God. My Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster has made it to the port. F-Zero is dead. Long live the 1-2 Switch series. Oh, no. Oh, no. What progress? Just on my weight loss. I'm getting started. Was technically starting today since I really did start the routine today. I'm getting back into weight loss. So I need to, I want to get back down to at least where I was. The best thing about the weight loss now is that because I spent so long bulking, because I haven't stopped working out, I just slowed down on my better eating habits. So now by the time I get down to 220, I'm gonna be much more muscular, I think, than I was before. All hail our game builder garage overlords. No, you have to be a Tears of the Kingdom engineer now. Now you have to learn all of the ins and outs of building devices in Tears of the Kingdom. You're also trying to ask the higher-ups the concept of selling a game not at full price. The reaction. See, and Kingslayer, I would agree with that, except Prime Remastered came out at $40. The Pikmin games are $25 a piece. Pikmin 4, I'm pretty sure, is going to be a $60 game. But yeah, it is happening. We are starting to see games come out that are not $60 games.